So, today we really want to talk to you guys about learning to start to rewire your mindset and see the positive in everything, essentially. Because I think a lot of times it's so easy to get caught up in the negative mindset and, oh, this isn't working for me, and blah, blah, blah. But actually, let's try to find like the positive in things. So, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see who comes through. I know we have like a cute little crowd who's like excited to see us each week, so that is so sweet. Um, and I love talking to everybody. So, um, yeah, we can open it up. I wanted to talk today about overcoming negative thinking patterns because lately I catch myself um, not only like rerouting them, but also noticing them and the feelings that come with them before they really arise and try to like become intrusive thoughts. And I just think, it took a lot of practice to get there. So maybe we can unpack some of the techniques that we've used to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some techniques that help you to change your mind from seeing the negative in things to training your mind to see the positive in situations?
I think one thing is seeing everything as an opportunity to learn.
Mm.
That's a really big one for me. Especially for things that seem out of my control, you can still kind of zone in and ground yourself there.
Totally. I like what you said about learning to find a lesson in whatever the situation is. Like, for example, it can be so easy to just say, oh, why is this happening to me? Or I don't understand why me. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of times when we ask for things, it doesn't come to us on a gold plate. It comes to us in the form of a challenge. And that challenge is to teach us to learn through it. Like, for example, I wanted to be emotionally stable. So when I was 18, 19 years old, I was like, I'm putting that out there. I want to be more emotionally stable. It just didn't come to me in like a beautiful gold plate. I came to me in a really unhealthy relationship, and I had to learn through that relationship that this is actually what I asked for. It may not look exactly what I asked for, but it's teaching me to grow through it and to learn more emotional stability.
Yeah, I love that. That reminds me of my time in social work. There
Yeah.
was like, as I was tapering out of it, I'd find myself walking into the office and being like, "Ugh, like, why do I have to keep doing this? Like, if I could even go part time, that'd be awesome." And then I went part time. And then I was like, man, I really just can't even do this anymore. I wish I didn't have to work at all. And then pots like slammed me on my butt. And so it seemed like these things were falling apart, but really, if you give it the proper time to play out, how they come true.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like really learning to be grateful for the challenges. They may not be the prettiest things in the moments, or they may not be the most positive things in that moment, but your challenging times are such blessings. Like, I remember when I was learning to control my emotions and to be more emotionally stable, like my ex-husband, he ripped the crap out of me. Like, literally everything that I would say that would be positive, that I would try to portray positive out there, he would just counter it with negative. And what I didn't know at the time was it was actually teaching me how to like chill out essentially, and to just not take things personal, because I think a lot of times when I was working on emotional stability, I needed to learn to just trust the process, to lean in and fully trust the process too. Does that kind of How was your experience when you were transitioning from social work?
So the transition itself was really difficult because POTS is basically a dysfunction in the autonomic nervous system. So when that went kaput on me, it was like months of bed rest, like really, really rough time. Um, Thankfully, as I was able to like get on the right meds for it and figure it all out, I was able to kind of start regaining my momentum and starting to feel like myself again. So that's when I was just like, you know what? All of those things contributed to what happened here, to this like chronic illness that I now have. Um, but I mean, I've been able to create a life supporting it and around it, and it's even better. So,
Yeah, what does that look like for you now? Because I think a lot of the times, like, chronic illness can, like, I'm not saying like anything is like completely true, but I think a lot of times it can come from stress or really bottling in your emotions and not taking care of your, like, nurturing yourself from the inside is things that I've been learning. So how has that been since you were able to adjust your life and work around it?
it's just been so much more freeing, I think, is like the main emotion I feel around it, like not having to answer to an organization or any one person or having my ideas watered down to fit into like little digestible molds. So I'm really just like free flowing with it. And, I wrote my book last year. So that was huge. And this year, I was thinking more on, you know, feeling proud that I got as far as I have. But now, like, there's this inkling to connect. And I don't know, it's just crazy how it all comes together. It just takes some time. So don't doubt it while it's unfolding.
Yeah, that's so true. I think a lot of times it's so easy to doubt the process before it fully blooms. But also, it's like something that I've been learning is that while you're still unfolding, just try to keep it to yourself a little bit more. You can talk to like people that like you trust and that you have clear communication with about what you're doing in your life, but also just try to keep it to yourself because outside forces and outside negative thoughts can try to counteract that. And that's also something that I've been learning because growing up, like, I've always been somebody that wants to talk and share as much as I can just out of just being genuine. But not everybody supports you around you. And even if you think those people do, it's just better to keep things low until you're fully bloomed as well. So I think that also helps to steer away from negativity essentially.
Yeah, even that made me think of social media as a whole. It's
Mm,
like that level of comparison that is constantly in our faces.
yes.
One thing that I did a while back at this point, but um I really just unfollowed all of pages that made me feel like negative emotions, and I started just like flooding my pages with stuff that made me feel good. And I think that like has such a quick effect on even like a moment or like a wave that we're riding. If you need a little pick me up, it's also there. So it's not just the negative stuff.
Exactly. I've been like leaning into this, but I actually love scrolling. Like, I it might be an unpopular opinion, but I've also gotten to the point with my algorithm where I've trained it to only show me positive things or show me people's profiles that I actually want to engage with. Like, I always get like positive quotes or positive reels of like words of encouragement on there. So like when I wake up first thing in the morning, there's this one church that I like to follow, and every morning when I wake up and I open Instagram, their post is like the first thing I see. So like I'm actually excited to go and like fill my mind with positivity. I think there's boundaries with scrolling, but if you can do healthy scrolling and also try to train your algorithm to be more positive, and to fill your mind with things that are going to help you grow, then that's also a positive of scrolling.
Absolutely, and, like, I'm a fan too, girl, like, I can scroll.
Yes.
But I really try to not do it too much at a time, and especially since coming to Substack now, like, I'll, like, read somebody's long post and, that kinda, fills my cup even more than seeing maybe a couple small things. Um, but what you're talking about reminded me of mantras. I
Yeah.
think using mantras is one of the biggest things I use to this day for, like, overcoming negative thoughts. It's really just finding one that you really like and associating it with the emotion, and then when you feel that bubbling up, put the mantra in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Really training your mind to think positive. I think the statistic is it takes three positive thoughts to cancel out one negative. So, like, whenever I like a negative thought tries to arise, I always knock it out with like at least three to five, whether it's a positive affirmation or I tell myself that that negative thought is a lie. You know, it's a lie and I'm not going to believe it, and then follow it with like positive affirmations as well.
Yeah, that is so cool. How did you get to that point, like, in your journey where you're able to catch these thoughts and reroute?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back a couple years when I was going back to when I was looking to be more to learn more about emotional stability and how to really control my emotions, because I used to be a really reactive person. Like if something didn't go my way, I was really reactive. Like I remember if my ex and I, if we had plans at 6 o'clock on a Friday night, which we didn't, but if we did, and they changed to like 7 p.m., I immediately would be reactive. I'd freak out, high anxiety, and then I didn't want to go out and do the thing. Like that was my level of emotional stability. And then, I just got to a point where he started to neglect my feelings and my emotions. And he would just go out by himself and he would leave me at home crying all night. And he would come home at 6 or 7 in the morning and tell me he wants to sleep all day. And I had to learn to just calm down and just learn to have peace in that, because what I would tell myself is, I don't understand why I'm going through this right now. But eventually I got to the point I said, every time he leaves me at home crying and just neglects my feelings, it's teaching me how to be more emotionally stable. And it may not be pretty, but this is what I asked for. And when I'm ready to leave, then I'll be strong enough to leave when it's time. But until then, I'm just going to sit here and really feel my emotions and not run away from them anymore.
Yeah, yeah, that's such, like, a touching story. It reminds me, my partner and I have been together for over a decade now, but recently, we had, like, a road bump, and I was just, like, devastated by it, and so I really, like, took all of the skills that I had learned, and just, like, applied them like crazy over, like, a span of a few days while I was re-regulating,
Yeah.
and when I look back at that and I'm like, "Wow, I didn't even flinch really when," like, I was hurt, but like, me being true to myself wasn't going anywhere this time.
Yeah, and I think that's such a powerful place to be, is when you do the work. Like they say, knowledge is power, but I think applied knowledge is power. Because knowledge without application is just knowledge. But applied knowledge, that's when things really start to happen. And we need to understand that, like, that our challenges are not to hurt us. They're actually going to work in our favor if we choose to see it that way. I could have taken every single time my ex left me at home crying and just wallowed in it. And, but if I didn't choose to pick myself up out of that, I would probably be still doing the same thing because he still doesn't give a crap. And that's okay. I wish him well, but at the end of the day, I know I was able to grow as a human through that, and that's what matters. So it's like really learning to cultivate peace because you can only control two things in this life, and it's your actions and your attitudes. I can't control what you do or how you feel, only how I feel.
That's exactly right, and I love that. And I mean, it's difficult to get to that place, but I mean, it's a practice just like anything else.
Exactly. Yeah, and trust me, like it wasn't overnight, but one day at a time, I think that you are capable of changing your path. You are capable of rewriting your story. Like we're not meant to live in lack. We're not meant to live in challenges forever. So like use them as stepping stones to get you to where you want to be. Nobody said it's going to be easy. Nobody said it's going to be overnight. But if you do enough consistent work and building those steps, eventually you'll get to where you want to be.
Absolutely. Even if the steps seem like they're taking forever, like like zoom in to like consider like one project or one thing you've been working on and just think about how different it is from 6 months ago or 2 weeks ago and seeing it evolve over time like that those are what make it happen.
Exactly. I completely agree. If anybody who joins us every week, if you guys ever have any questions or anything that you want to say, feel free to say it in the chat as well. We're more than happy to talk about any topics that you'd want to. But yeah, it's just kind of like it's a community where that's what we are.
Yeah,
How
I'd love to hear what other tools people use for re-regulating and um just like knowing and honoring your emotions and working with them.
Absolutely. I have a question for you. So since social media is such a big thing these days and there's so many different platforms, how has your transition from let's say Instagram or TikTok been when you switched to Substack? How has your mindset shifted?
Um, I've been so much more um active and creative since coming to Substack. I was heavy into TikTok and Facebook for the longest time, and it was just at the beginning of this year that I decided to just nix all the other ones. And honestly, it only took a couple of days for me to not miss it anymore. Like at first it was weird like not scrolling, but soon after I found Substack and I was like it just fuels me in different ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For people who are new here, what are some things that you usually like to write about?
I love to write about personal experience. So everything that I write as it's like lived. Oh, Maddie's here. Let's see what Maddie
Hey,
says.
Maddie. For re-regulating emotions, I usually do my self-care routine. I go through my daily dose of self-care, stay off my phone. Typically make replacements for bad habits too. That, that's incredible.
Those are
What does
really
your
good.
self-care routine look like if you don't mind sharing? Yeah, those are all great.
Yeah. While she's working on that, my self-care is quiet time. I
Mm,
thrive in quiet time. I need it. Um Showers and like meditations are like my quickest go-tos.
I love that. I love that. A good hot shower is always so relaxing and needed.
So true. What would you say your top 3 are?
I love going for a bike ride. I love going to the Mercado to go get fresh fruit. I don't know. It's like there's like one that I went to yesterday for the first time, and they're only open on Tuesdays. So I think that's like my daily like or my weekly like happy like Mercado run.
That's so cute.
And a third thing, doing nothing and listening to audios.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Stillness is so big for me.
Yeah, like literally, because like sometimes like I can't listen to podcasts unless I'm doing something, but then like on the weekends, I'll literally just lay there and listen to podcasts, and it's so relaxing for me.
Yeah, that was me today. Like for the first time in so long, like for someone who doesn't have a standard job, like I work hard at writing and creating, like my brain is always producing something. And today I just did nothing. And it was wonderful. And I even caught myself thinking, I was like, it's kind of weird that I'm not like trying to push myself to do anything, right? And then I was like, but I just don't feel like it. And I embraced it and it was weird, but I'm about it.
I think that's so beautiful though, because a lot of times, like when you come from working a full-time job, like I remember when I was a dancer, this might sound completely crazy, but I went to this dance camp for 2 weeks. It was 12 hours a day for 12 days. And the people who, yeah, it was wild. I'm sorry, I just saw your face. I'm like, they gave us a 2-hour break to do laundry, okay? It wasn't that bad.
Oh, chores. Awesome.
But and they would always tell us, they were like, if you want to make it professionally as a dancer, you have to work at least 6 to 12 jobs, like literally no joke. So when I left that place, that's literally what I did. I remember I was at a point where I was working 6 jobs and just trying to figure out life. So like when you come from a hustle culture and then you learn to nurture yourself and give yourself the rest and care, it's completely valid to do nothing once in a while.
Absolutely. And I think that's like a practice in itself too, because we're just like in this like hustle culture that
Yeah.
rest is like rebellious almost.
Yeah, but rest is actually so sacred because if you want longevity, you need to rest. It's funny, like I'll listen to like someone like Jay Shetty and he'll be on an interview and they ask him, "What's one of the things that has made you more successful?" And he said, "I sleep more." Because it's going to make you more productive.
Huh. I love that. I love watching him also. I'm also a really big fan of Soul Boom with Rainn Wilson.
Okay, I haven't
Oh,
heard
if you
that
haven't
one.
seen it, recommend.
What are your top three podcasts?
Hmm. Soul Boom, definitely.
Sure.
Mm, I don't know. He's really my only one that I watch like regularly, I'd say. I mean, I'll like flip through and browse, but I'm really just like diehard for Soul Boom. He has so many great guests. He gets into his main topic is the spiritual revolution, which is really cool. So I recommend him to anybody who is into spiritual ideas or philosophy.
That's super cool. I love that. I really like Lewis House. Are you familiar?
No.
No, he's like another Jay Shetty. Maybe I like him because I'm from Chicago and he's an Ohio boy, and it's like we're kind of neighbors, or from Ohio. But I've been listening to his podcasts like since I was 17 or 18. And I remember actually I learned it through dance. I was at a dance camp, and this girl was like, "Oh, like I just read this book called The School of Greatness. If anybody wants any motivation, I highly recommend it." And I remember when I listened to his podcast, I immediately got addicted. So it's
Really?
like
What's his name? I'm gonna go look for it.
you can type in The School of Greatness.
Okay.
Yeah, Lewis House, The School of Greatness. That's usually one of my favorite go-tos.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
that.
Well, awesome. Do you have any last minute thoughts or wrap up idea points for this week, or today?
Um, for overcoming negative thinking patterns, consistency matters. Find a mantra that you love and pay attention to the emotion you're feeling when that thought comes in.
I love that. Something that I used to do when I was like starting to like rewire my mind to think more positive and see the positive in every situation. I had Well, first I would start by like writing affirmations on sticky notes and then stick it on my mirror. But then my mirror got so full I couldn't use it anymore. Then I like started keeping whiteboard markers around and writing them on my mirror with whiteboard markers. And that was also really freeing because it's a form of writing, just not on paper.
Yeah, when I was in my, like, late teens and early 20s, I had this mirror that I didn't use dry erase on, but I would write, like, my favorite sayings on it. But
Yours is a
yeah,
little more
that was a
permanent.
really great tool.
Yours is just a little more permanent. That's awesome. Well, thank you to everybody who has joined us for this week. We do this every week for like a midweek mindset reset, and we appreciate you guys. So if you ever have any questions or topics you want to talk about, drop it in the chat or message us, and we'd love to talk about it as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Annetta, thank you. I love ya.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
We'll see you guys next time.